Hi guys, welcome to BattaBox. Thank you for joining today. My name is Mike, and today I want to talk to you guys about weaponized ignorance. What is weaponized ignorance? Weaponized ignorance is when someone uses ignorance as a tool to be able to cause harm and damage. So this is very common, especially in a place like Nigeria, where people would prefer to be ignorant than to know what is the truth, especially in a situation where you have a very highly educated society. Our society in Nigeria is very educated. Now, keep in mind, education is not the same as someone who actually has power or someone who is exposed. Education just means that you have certain requirements that you fulfilled. For example, you went to school, you have a bachelor's or you have a master's, and you are speaking abracadabra or you are blowing grammar. So you are educated, but that doesn't mean you have the information that is needed to make some changes that are important and that can actually impact your life. So weaponized ignorance is just our leaders and our politicians keeping information from us willfully and assuming that we do not know our rights. So by that, it might be with regards to something like the recent arrest of some protesters. Like 10 protesters were arrested, and they said that it was treason. Now, remember, treason is when you are trying to overthrow a government. So if you are trying to overthrow a government, that is what treason is. But if you are not overthrowing the government, then how can that be treasonous? Because treason is when you're trying to overthrow a government. And the constitution, the Nigerian constitution allows for protest. It allows for protest. So people can express their constitutional right by protesting, which, by the way, that is not a crime. But treason is a crime. So weaponized ignorance is just the government being able to make sure that we are disenfranchised by not allowing us to exercise our rights. So let me give you an example. If you look at America during the era of the slavery, when they were slaves, during the slave era, what you are going to notice is that a lot of Black Americans were not taught how to read and write. So they were not taught how to read and write. In fact, most of the stories they kept in folklore is that people were hiding the Bible because they were reading the Bible. The Bible was the only book available to them. But even those that were reading the Bible self, they were hiding the Bible. They were hiding the Bible because they did not want people to know that they don't want people to know that they are reading the Bible, because if your master catch you, you are going to be in trouble. In fact, the master will also lashing them, spanking or beating them if they find them with the Bible. So most times, people that even know how to read, they pretended as if they don't know how to read. They pretended as if they don't know how to read because they don't want the masters to know that they know how to read, or that they can write letters to their loved one, who was taken away, or if a slave master is someone who is a very wicked slave master, and then that one come and take somebody's wife or their spouse. And maybe the wife can read, but the husband have to pretend that he cannot read. So again, that's one of ignorance, which was used as a weapon, because they don't want you to know how to read. Because knowing how to read is related to your freedom. If you can read, then you can be free. So it's similar to what's going on here, where our government is, by way of weaponized ignorance, they are lying to us. They are not being straightforward to us. That's another form of keeping us in ignorance. For example, when NPC came, they said they were not doing subsidy, has been removed, or they're not doing subsidy. Later on, they can't come back say, they're now doing subsidy. So are you doing subsidy or you're not doing subsidy? Which one is it? So that ignorance is a form of lies that they told us. And by lying to us, they want to keep us in ignorance. And that ignorance is used as a weapon. That weapon is something that most people, they might not know what's going on, but the government is actually using that lack of truthfulness, or lack of honesty, or lack of coming forward. They are using that as a way to weaponize. There isn't as a weapon. Sorry, there isn't as a weapon against us. So petrol price is one whereby they are saying, well, petrol price is this, NNPC say this. Then Dangote is like, don't ask me about the petrol price. Go and ask an NPC. NPC can tell you that. Then there are different information too, like just a lot of disinformation, which again is used as a form of ignorance. So weaponized ignorance and also weaponized poverty. That's a big one. That means they want to keep us poor. Why do they want to keep us poor? They want to keep us poor because when they keep us poor, then if we are poor, we won't have access to be able to get information, because information is the difference between the rich and the poor. The only difference is that the rich man has information, the poor man does not have information. Information can be something as going on YouTube and watching me like you are now, or having access to the internet. That's a form of information. So that information comes only if you're able to buy a data plan or a data pack. We're able to get some information. So that data that you can buy is something that will help you to get information. By getting information, you can get out of poverty. By getting out of poverty, you can become educated. When you're educated, you can be able to get out of the ignorance that the government is trying to put you in. So that is the weaponized ignorance that we're talking about, which leads to weaponized poverty. Is it not the Edo State APC candidates? They told him to come online. Arise, I think Arise invited him to come on Arise. I know he was saying something like he can't come on Arise because I think the chairman of the party was saying that people do not have data. People do not have money to be able to buy data. Sorry guys, I'm getting distracted there. But I'm back. People do not have money to be able to buy data. And because they don't have money to buy data, there's no point for him to be on TV for interview. For an interview, so that the guy can express himself. I don't know if you guys are getting my point. So what I'm saying at the end of the day is that idea that people are poor, and because they are poor, they cannot subscribe to DSTV, or they cannot subscribe to cable because they're poor. That is a way of poverty that keeps people under, and people cannot break themselves free. And the government of the day has used that poverty as a tool which can lead to division, the poor versus the rich. It creates a classist society, classism. And that classism is where you now start seeing things leading to tribalism, which is another one the government is using as a weapon. If you can divide them, the Igbos, Yoruba, and the Hausa or different tribe, if you can tell them that this person don't like this person, that person likes don't like this person, that tribalism comes in. And when that comes in, it turns to a situation whereby it becomes a weapon. Then I don't want to talk about my petrol price anymore. That is too high. Or I don't want to talk about how my energy for my PHCN is very high. Instead, I'm going to focus on that guy that say he does not like the Yoruba. I'll focus on Igbo must go. I'll focus on this Fulani Hausa headmen. So by sowing that seed of discontent or that seed of tension, it becomes a weapon, because then people are not paying attention to all the tricks and the games that the politicians are playing. So the tricks and the games they are playing, you get distracted. It's like somebody's trying to rob you here, and when he's trying to rob you on this other place, he's doing another thing and he's like waving at you. So you are looking here with this hand, but the other hand, the guy is he's robbing you. And that's what's going on with our leaders today. They are completely weaponized tribalism, and there's nothing we can do about the differences, because we are a different tribe, each one of us with different ethnicity, and that's what makes us beautiful. In our differences is where we thrive. So for the government to now start using tribalism and start suing people who are not Igbos to be acting as Igbos, or saying all kind of mean stuff, or sponsoring people, which again you guys might think is funny, but the state government sometimes can get into an act where they are sponsoring people, as we saw them sponsor during the last 10-day end ban government's protest. The state is sponsoring people. So what you have is, by sponsoring people to protest against the protesters, the unobserved or the unobserving person or the untrained eye would just say that my brother, okay, let me listen to him, maybe it's making sense. Not knowing that your brother was sponsored by the government. So, and that's the weapon of tribalism that they use sometimes to divide us. By dividing, then we are not focused on what we need to do. We are not focused on mobilization. We're not focused on protesting. We're not focused on coming out in unity and coming out in one voice. Instead, we are divided. So this division is something that is very deep, and it's something that allows us so that we can focus and call for a change, the change that we need or the change that we demand. We can't call for that change. Why? Can't call for that change because we can't call for that change because we are busy spewing out our ignorance and not knowing what's going on, or talking things that don't make sense, because we are ignorance. ignorant of what the government is supposed to do, ignorant of what the local, the state government is supposed to do. And because of that ignorance, we don't know what our rights are. So I think the first thing we need to do to solve all this problem by way of solution is, number one, let us all try and, as a nation, increase our national consciousness, and let's know what our rights are. Let's know that it's not cool for a government to be in power and not really care about us, because we are the people. The government is for the people. It's not cool for the Senate president or House of Rep or the senators to be spending lavishly and getting 21 million every month, or for getting bulletproof cars, while the country is suffering. While people are suffering, people are like in pain. People are feeling the burden of having to queue in line for 8 hours and not get to buy petrol, even though you are paying 1,200 naira per liter. So, which the elite, they don't buy petrol, they don't queue, they send somebody and they always have petrol. They are not exposed to that level of suffering. And that is why they continue to weaponize this poverty. If you are poor, somebody will just come and buy you a bag of gari, and you support whatever he says, even though it's not someone that you particularly agree with or endorse, but you have to just go with what he says. Why? Because he has bought you, because of that poverty. By poverty, I mean that a government will come and say, I'll give you palliatives instead of getting you a job. It's harder, very, very harder to teach a man to fish. It's easier to give him a fish. And it's the same thing here with the government. It's easier to give palliatives to 10,000, 20,000 than create an economy that can work for everyone, than create an economy that can create jobs for everyone. So it's just something that we as a people need to wake up to. We need to be conscious. We need to know what our rights are, and we need to be sensitive that these guys are trying, they are trying their best to make sure that we remain tribal. I think Yadoa's mom died recently, and there's a video circulating online of Peter Obi, Shetima, and Atiku. Everybody were on the same bus. They're all in the same bus. I mean, one Nigeria, no matter whatever you say, the elites don't have that division problem, is my point. But we, the masses, are the ones who say, now so Yoruba man they do, or these Yoruba people, this one, or Igbo must go outside this, outside that. All these kind of things are something that the great minds don't think about that or talk about that. It's like an ordinary person conversation. Great minds talk about ideas. Ordinary people just talk about news and current events and gossip. The great elites that are in society, or great, I shouldn't use that word, but the elites in society, they don't talk about that. They don't know. They talk about how to do business and how to make money and how to raise money, how to steal money. That thing, that the elites have those kind of conversations. So, but why is it that we, the masses, are the ones that are suffering the most? And I think it's because of those three reasons I pointed, which is the weaponized ignorance. We are ignorant of our rights are. The last and bad government's 10-day protest, people did not come out to protest. Many people sat at home. The few people you saw on the streets were not even up to 1% or 0.5% of the whole population. And after 1 week, the thing dried up, everybody went about their business. So as a country, as a nation, we cannot continue to live this way. And then we will now start saying, oh, God is going to do this, God is going to do that. No, it is in our hands. It is in our hands to make a change. It is in our hands to make things better, and stop allowing these politicians to weaponize religion, weaponize ignorance, weaponize tribe, weaponize poverty. And by ignorance, I think that's another thing I should probably add: weaponize religion. They use religion to weaponize, in the sense of like Tinubu Muslim tickets, with the idea being if you have Muslim tickets, you're better. But these guys are practically oppressing. This is oppression. Oppression is when you don't care anymore, and you just steal the resources of the people. Because again, you have, I think of it as three different things. You have the Nigerians, common class, middleman, the ordinary citizens of Nigeria. Then you have the resources of Nigeria itself. All our oil, our crude, that's the resource. Then you have the elite. So the elite is basically directly going straight to the resources and taking from it, while the ordinary common Nigerian, the masses, do not have access to it. So I mean, if you look at it, you just have to ask yourself, like, how do you get yourself out of this? And that's by removing all the stereotype, all the biases, and all the mind of, oh, this person is particular tribe, that person is that particular tribe. That doesn't help. Then also talking ignorantly. We need to educate ourselves as to what our rights are. We need to know what our rights. We need to educate ourselves as to what our rights are, so that we can have the opportunity to be able to stand against these politicians that are trying to use ignorance as a weapon against us, or trying to use poverty as a means by keeping people poor. By keeping them poor, you make sure that they look up to you continuously as their God. Basically, they become your God. They become a God. You become a God to them. Sorry, you become a God to them. But it's a good feeling for your ego or ego, because oh yeah, these people need me. They worship you. They bow down to you. You send the children to school fees. You do everything for them because you continue to keep them in poverty, even though you know there are some things you can do that can change their lives, but you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. And we need to hold government accountable. We need to find a way to organize. We need to educate ourselves, because ignorance is a big issue. People don't know what their rights are, and by not knowing what your rights are, you're going to be taken advantage of. For the government to come and say, oh, it's treasonous, that's assuming we don't know what treason is. Whereas these guys were just lawfully protesting. They were lawfully protesting, being reckless with our resources. Private jets and brand new jets here, even though some of the jets were seized. And then you also have an over bloated federal executive branch with almost 50 ministers at this point. This is unjust to society that they claim to serve, because they are our service, they are servants, they are public servants, not the other way around. The President Tinubu came out and said these are tough decisions that have to be made so we can have a renewed hope. But man, it's not working, man. It's not working. It's not going to work. People are suffering. People are dying. People are in hospitals. They cannot afford the hospital bills, so they don't get the care they need. Some people, they don't even have lights. Maybe they are doing operation and NEPA takes light in the middle of an operation. Can you imagine that? And lives are being lost that way. And that is what I talk about, the oppression. How they are just oppressing, and they're telling us be patient, telling us be patient while profiting from the inefficiencies of the system. Inefficiency of the system being there's no light, and people are selling generator. There's a huge generator industry, even though generators are killing businesses, because to run them, the power quality sometimes is the power can fry or damage your equipment, or there's no petrol in it. I mean, just a lot of issues. But there's a business, there are people that are there, their job is to supply generator, and they want to supply forever. So why should there be light? There won't be light now. So that's the people profiting from the inefficiencies of the society. Insecurity is a big one where people profit from. Because when you have that, then there's fear. There's fear in the society, and people can use it for political reasons, just to damage. Remember during the era of Jonathan, some people say that is the Boko Haram that actually hurt his presidency the most. At that time, America did not want to help. It was crying for help. It was crying for help. It took a while, I think, before they labeled Boko Haram as a terrorist organization. And if they label it as a terrorist organization, then the government can get resources, which at the end of the day, the US didn't really help, even though Jonathan was crying for help. So some people were using that insecurity as a way of making sure that the government of the day is oppressed, even though it's bad that they're doing that, but some people do that. So I think I just want to quickly share this with you guys, and how is it possible for us as a country to wake up and be educated. Let's get out of our ignorance. Let's get out of our leaders that are using ignorance. Let's not endorse the leaders that are using our ignorance as a weapon. The leaders that are using our tribe and our differences as a weapon. And also, more importantly, leaders that are using poverty as a weapon, which, dare I say, that's what's going on right now. They want to keep us poor. They want to oppress us. They want to suppress us, while they continue to expand, and they continue to expand and they continue to eat all of our loot, of our resources. So it's something that I'm hoping that at some point the masses are going to come out. Oh yeah, thank you so much, Junior, for that message. Yeah, the masses are going to come out and are going to mobilize. They're going to come out strong in force, and we are going to say no to this government. because government must listen. They must listen to us, and they must listen to us. If they don't listen to us, then it's going to be a very difficult government for them to sustain. So thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to our channel if you haven't, and share this video with someone that you think might enjoy it. Again, I remain Mike, and I'll catch you on the next one. Okay, bye guys.